Thank you all for making time this morning to join our quarterly policy committee. I know it's a super busy time of year for folks, especially in school, so cannot thank you enough for making the time to engage with us today. We have a pretty packed agenda this morning, so thanks for being here. We'll have a couple of local innovation spotlights, so just spotlighting the amazing work that's happening in our state on pathways implementation, in collaboration between colleges, high schools, and other institutions like EFEs that can be really helpful in supporting pathways development. So we'll hear first from Rich Township with Dr. Amber Morgan. We'll take over in just a moment. Really excited to hear how their pathways planning has been going. Then we'll get into some state and federal policy updates. So some exciting updates on the state level, such as an executive order from the governor laying out an ambitious plan for a new statewide attainment goal by the end of this year. So we've been chatting about that a bit in this group of what we would want to see in that attainment goal, but we'll hear some updates today on how that work is progressing. We'll get some updates on this latest General Assembly for the legislature down in Springfield as they're wrapping up this legislative session. We'll also get some updates on the Dual Credit Quality Act and rules that are coming out from that. We will highlight the new and improved transitional instruction website that can hopefully be a resource for folks either as they've already implemented transitional instruction or they're just beginning their transitional instruction journey. Lots of great resources and opportunities on that site to meet you wherever you are in that journey. Then we will talk about just a brief update on Workforce Pell, the rules that are expected soon, and some emerging models from states across the country. Then we will highlight a Ed Systems specific project, so graduation requirements in the state of Illinois, just give an update on that project, as well as an opportunity for engagement from this group, as well as some of your networks who may have feelings and perspectives to share on Illinois graduation requirements. Then we will give another kind of statewide project update with our Illinois Program of Study Alignment project here at Ed Systems. Then we will have another local innovation spotlight, so highlighting collaborative practices between high school, college, and EFE in developing and scaling pathways. And then we will close out with some upcoming events over the summer, some resources, kind of some summer reading, things that we've been checking out within the policy team at Ed Systems. And we'll close out with a survey and send you all on your way this Monday morning. So thanks again for being here. We're going to now pass to Dr. Amber Morgan. She's the Director of Curriculum and Instruction at Rich Township High School. So super excited to hear some of the developments that they have been making in collaboration with our innovation or our pathways team here at Ed Systems to really get concrete about the pathways that are available to students in the region, specifically in CTE. So thank you so much, Dr. Morgan, for being here this morning with us, and I'll pass it off to you. Just let me know when you need the slides advanced.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. And I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity this morning to share with you some of the exciting things that are going on at Rich Township High School District 227. And I want to start by saying the work that I'm going to be talking about today in terms of our pathway development is not my work alone. It involves a team of just in general CTE teachers and counselors and administrators, both at the school and district level. So although I'm presenting today, please note that this is not my work solely. It's the work that I help to facilitate with a group of people both at our district as well as our partners, our industry partners and community partnerships too as well. Okay. So I wanted to begin just in general, just sharing a brief video where you'll hear from some of our students and our teachers and our administrators just in general about our several of our pathways.
Our culinary program here is a 3-year training program. We cook, clean, and cook. That's really the main focus, but we learn what it is to work in this restaurant industry. We're the beginning of what they're preparing for before they go off to culinary college.
We fix live vehicles, we repair live cars. This is something that you have to be standing in front of and have that real life scenario, and I think students can benefit a tremendous amount from that hands-on portion. That's the real deal.
In this class, we are very hands-on. Students are in this room daily and are managing food products. So they're growing parsley, they're growing lettuce, they're growing herbs, and all of that is being turned into products that we're going to consume.
When I used to live with my grandma, we'd be in the kitchen day in, day out. First thing, we go to the farmer's market, get some string beans, get all of our essential ingredients, come home, make our little dinner, sit on the TV, and watch Maury all day. For me, I've always cooked in the kitchen by myself. I never had to really, work around other people. So I learned that, very important early on. If I don't communicate what I'm doing, then it's really not gonna work out for the whole team as a whole unit.
As class goes, they learn about the basic life skills, sanitation and safety. We want to make sure that they are at a manager's level. We actually bring someone in to train them from the industry. We're affiliated with a couple of programs, one being CCAP, Careers Through Culinary Arts program, that awards them scholarships, but then also they have to compete for those. We have 5 of our seniors make it to the final competition, where they'll learn how to work with industry professionals, and they'll go off to culinary school or hospitality management school. Just being able to be hands-on is really what the kids appreciate. They appreciate what we do here because they learn the aspect of from the academic standpoint to the actual hands-on standpoint.
We do a lot of book work and assignments before we come into the kitchen, and when we are in the kitchen, we work as a team. And same for events, we work under chef as a team, and we try to get everything done as good as possible.
For me, it was the work. You could take stuff apart and then put it back up. It was like you're building something again and then taking it apart and building it back again. And I don't know, I just like that part of problem solving and just putting stuff back together. Students bring them in if they have anything, something from an oil change to, again, a transmission, anything that we need on our cars or on other people's cars. And it's pretty interesting because if people bring in their cars with a problem we haven't seen, that's where we get to learn another thing in this class, and Mr. helps us with that. All of the adults that bring their cars in there are like, oh, wow, y'all really do this, y'all fixing it. And they're like, you're doing it for money. We're like, no, we're just learning. We're just learning.
Not only have I had my car oil changed here, window shield repaired, just simple pressure on my tires checked. I have come here and I know that they give complete auto care. We're about building our students for the future, and this is one of the ways we do it.
So the students here definitely have a huge benefit. They're able to take multiple certifications within the course. OSHA Career Safe certification that certifies a student to work safely in the industry. Automotive Service Excellence testing towards the end of the year. And I think those certifications alone would benefit a student a tremendous amount as opposed to somebody that doesn't have those certifications to obtain a job. They're not looking for somebody that say, hey, I took an auto class. They want to know you're recognized with the ASC testing and you're passed and you're certified. And that right there will get them into multiple jobs right after they graduate.
In this pathway, we have an animal focus and a plant focus. Our animal focus starts out in the introduction to agriculture, followed by veterinary science and small animal care and management. Our students have the opportunity to be involved with a student organization. The student organization is FFA, and within that, the students have opportunities for leadership, they learn organizational skills, and time management.
I think personally the most important hands-on experience would be growing things, specifically plants, because they are really fragile in a way. Because some plants, they grow really quickly, but if you water them too hard or if they don't have enough sunlight, they can easily die, and you just looking at it on paper or learning about it doesn't really exactly prepare you for it. You can't really have agricultural without safety or learning about certain laws for what you need. The things you need for animals, such as the specific feeds or medical care, what type of land you need for the areas, such as what space an animal needs or plant. It's what I want to do for my future. I plan to have my own business and farm and build things by myself because they're cheaper.
I looked at more things and I want to go into diesel mechanic. So taking an automotive or a mechanic class is actually like a step to what I want to do, because I'm going to be fixing something that is going to be driven by somebody, and I enjoy it. Like, I want to work into something I enjoy and not something that is just for the money, because if you don't enjoy it, you're really not going to do your job right.
I imagine having a career in culinary arts in the future, because as tired as this program makes me, it has prepared me for what I can expect in this industry. As you go in this program and as you realize the value in what you're doing and the value in the things that you're producing, you slowly start to realize the importance that this program can have to your daily life and everything else.
I hope you all enjoyed that short video. I just wanted to give you an idea of some of our pathways at Rich Township, and here just directly in general from some of our students and our teachers. So, and you can go ahead and go on to the next slide. So a little bit about me. I am actually the Director of Curriculum Instruction here at Rich Township. And I wanted to give you a little bit about me because it helps you to understand our growth our growth in pathways in particular as a district. If you'll notice by my credentials, you'll see that I did not have a background in high school, and I also did not have a background in career and technical education. So when I came to Rich Township High School District 4 years ago in particular, you'd see that learning about career and technical education would be extremely important and necessary if I was going to be successful in the position. So as a leader, I really focused on learning. And that learning that I did as a leader, I actually spread across our teachers and our administrators here at Rich Township. I want to say just in general that the learning that I did receive was really a part of being mentored by my EFE director and local CTE teachers and different advisors, as well as really embarking on a number of CTE school visits and taking advantage in general of just different professional learning opportunities, whether it be IACTE or ACT, a variety of different conferences. But one of the things that was super important to my journey, in particular in our journey as a district, is I did not do this learning alone. I brought along the CTE teachers and the administrators with us and the counselors with us so that we could grow together and learn together, in particular as a group. For some of you who might not know the background of Rich Township High School District, we are originally 3 different separate high schools. And then there was a consolidation of those 3 high schools into 2. And so we are currently a 1 high school, 2 district campus. And when those transitions happened, we in particular had administrators who were in charge of CTE that did actually not have a CTE background, particularly at the school level. So part of my learning about Rich Township when I came was about how do I capitalize on the people that are in the position, and how do we learn and grow together, in particular to grow our pathways. You have to go ahead and move to the next slide. So when I started at Rich Township, which was in the school year 22-23, you'll see that we had 2 campuses and we had 19 pathways at one campus, 4 pathways at the other. In general, our school district is set up as in terms of our schools are set up in different academies. You'll see that there were 2 academies on the STEM campus, being Health and Human Services and Tech and Engineering, and 2 academies at our FAC campus, which is Business Finance and Fine Arts. There were 2 CTE academy leaders in particular at each campus. So the administrative team really was the 4 CTE academy leaders and myself. When I got to Rich Township, one of the pieces that we did realize in particular that there was a limited knowledge of CTE pathways and programs amongst our teachers, counselors, and our administrators. We had not had any industry advisory board for years, and obviously the pandemic had some effect on that. There was really a lack of transparency in terms of the budget and what was requested and how teachers requested it. We had limited, if at all, any convenings of CTE teachers together as a group or with their administrators. We had 6 dual credit opportunities in CTE pathways, And we had two dual credit partners, being Prairie State College and Loyola. And in particular, we had 3 work-based and learning endorsed teachers. Please move to the next slide. Okay. Okay. And so where you see we are today, and I'll talk about how we got there, but what you'll notice in particular that our pathways reduced really to 15 pathways at STEM, with the remaining 4 pathways at our FAC campus, still having the academies, but we moved to a structure where there's only 1 academy leader at both campuses versus 4. And along the way, we actually developed a CTE vision and plan, really informed by the CTE Quality CTE Program of Study framework. And I'll get into that in just a second. A piece of that involved really increasing the knowledge and development of the people, both the teachers and the administrators and the counselors at our campus. We also worked hard to really develop a relationship with more industry partners. So we brought back the biannual advisory board meetings to really inform our pathways. I initiated, with the assistance of one of our teachers, a more transparent budget process. And we also started really monthly CTE teacher PLCs. Currently, we have 12 dual credit course opportunities in our CTE pathways from 6 to 12. And now we have 5 dual credit partners in particular, adding on Loyola and, sorry, not Loyola, but Kankakee Community College, UIUC, and City Colleges of Chicago currently is pending. We do have a CNA CPE currently, and next year we are scheduled to do a certified medical assistance pilot with our local community college, Prairie State College. We've increased our number of work-based learning and endorsed teachers, as well as we really went through the board process of proving some additional CTSOs, including Skills USA, TSA, Ed Rising, and Junior Manners to go alongside our pathways. I want to say these changes were not done on its own. It really had to do, if you go to the next slide, and it really had to do with evaluating our current program. So during my first school year, we used that ACT evaluation tool, and teachers and our CTE teachers and our administrators evaluated where we were on each of the components in that evaluation. And we used where we were to really help craft our future goals and develop with our CTE teachers and our administrators and our district administrators and our school administrators, really a vision and plan for the development of our pathways, right? What assisted us with that, of course, is our industry advisory board meetings and our advisory partners. We also purchased an ICT, ACTE and ACTE, in particular institutional memberships, which allowed us to send more people out for professional development. We participated in some school study visits, really taking a look at some other CTE programs, and really heavily investing in creating a community of CTE teachers through our professional learning communities. This year, we had the opportunity, in particular, to go to the Accelerate Ed Phoenix Learning site visit, as well as really deepening our partnership with our early college and our CTE dean at Prairie State College. So it was an amalgamation of all these different items that really helped us to really grow and really develop and hone in on our pathways to make them clearer and more defined and provide more opportunities for learning for both our teachers, our counselors, and our administrators, and in the end, our students. To the next slide, please. So here you'll see in particular, our vision is really based upon 4 pillars, really working on industry guidance, being student-centered, really having a committed team, and really allocating resources to the priorities that we deemed were important. In particular, you can see that we really want to develop our work-based learning experiences. We really wanted to delve more deeply into our freshman career seminars in particular, so that our career interest surveys could really delve in to help students pick which pathways that they were interested in. We really wanted to align in particular of getting active CTSOs for each of our pathways, as well as increasing our dual credit opportunities in our CTE pathways. We also kind of embarked on some new funding, applying for the Exelon grant, which funded a lot of the hydroponic towers you saw in our agriculture spaces, as well as the MET grant, which really supported our new pathway in construction in particular. This school year, our district did open up a new STEM and aviation center, which really was dedicated to our aviation program, which is new this year, our construction and our auto spaces. Please move to the next slide. So in the end, we really are on our way, but we still have a ways to go. So when we take a look at next steps for our programs in terms of our development, we are in the process of implementing school links, which we are excited about because we really need to really focus on more comprehensive tracking of our students and their achievements. Next school year, we will be expanding some courses in our pathways, particularly incorporating some AP courses into our business academy and our information and technology academy with AP business and AP cybersecurity. We will be increasing our number of college and career pathway endorsements, as well as really continuing to refine and develop and learn and grow in particular, our pathways in particular. By participating in really the Regional Acceleration of Models pathway, as well as the Scaling Transformative and Advanced Manufacturing Pathways Initiative. So at Ridge Township, we are on our way to really growing and developing our pathways, but it really depends on being really intentional about where we spend our resources and in particular, how do we continue to grow and learn and increase our capacity so that we can provide more opportunities for our students. I'm open now at any time for any questions. Thank you for your attention. This is just a little bit about where we are at Ridge Township and what we seek to do and grow and be in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. That was awesome to hear directly from the students specifically, and then hear from, your perspective, the behind the scenes, all of the different supports and programs that you've kind of brought together to make this happen for students. One of the lines that really stuck out to me was, I think it was the automotive student who said, if you don't enjoy it, you aren't going to do your job right. So I'm wondering how you decide what programs, or how you hear from students, what programs they're interested in pursuing and how you kind of build around that.
That's an excellent question. And this is something that this is an area of growth for us too as well. In the past, what we have done is that we've done some student surveys and getting information from our students. Our freshman students in their freshman seminar class take career interest surveys in particular. And we use just really combined using that information there, as well as surveys particularly, and then really using the information from our current interest survey. So next school year, and I didn't include it, but there's too much sometimes, we are having a work-based learning course, and where students get on the job, as a part of the course, they'll be going out to help renovate a home that our district is getting from the local bank. And so information, we send out information not just to our construction students, but to our students across the school, both campuses, for their interest in this. And we utilize surveys, and then we also utilize surveys to get information about who's interested. And we typically back those up by having different interest meetings at schools in person where students can learn more about it. And then we also do some family engagement. So for instance, for that program in particular, during parent-teacher conferences, we hosted some mini sessions for parents to come learn more about what their student is interested in. So currently, those are really the spaces that we are using to collect information. I don't think we do it enough. I think we need to find some other ways and examples to get more feedback from our students, but that's what we're currently doing. So we're currently exploring that. We're also hoping that with School Links, which is much more user-friendly than Naviance, which we currently have, will allow us to get more information from our students and hear more from them. I do also want to add one thing. Every year we do have a student forum with our superintendent and our administrators where we bring about 50 to 60 students to the board office and get feedback of our programs directly from our students in person. That's one other way in terms of where we get information from our students about their interests in our pathways.
How do you recruit students for that forum? That sounds really cool too.
So in particular, our principals, our co-principals, as working with our associate principals, really talk to our deans and our teachers and get recommendations. And we really work to get a broad variety of students. We are an IB World School, so we have our IB students, but we also have our career and technical education pathway students and more of our fine arts students. So we work to get a good balance of all of them as a part of it.
Very cool. Thank you. Also appreciate you laying out sort of like these are the different types of resources we've had to marshal and like people, funding, like mindsets, all of those kinds of things like in order to lead this transformation. So it's super insightful and really appreciate you sharing it with the group. Any other questions from the group? I know there was a question about how many students attend the district, so I pulled that from the report card, but other questions for Dr. Morgan here?
Yes, we do have one of our students on the Success Network Student Advisory Council. We're really excited about that.
Yes, it's been wonderful to hear just all the different ways that student perspective is incorporated into your work.
Okay. Well, thank you all again. I really appreciate the invite and I appreciate the opportunity to share on what we're doing. We continue to work to do what's best for our students and provide them more opportunities. And I look forward to collaborating with anyone. If anybody would like to collaborate, more hands make less work as we try to figure things out.
Yes, definitely. Learn together, grow together, scale together for sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. Really appreciate your time and expertise here. Okay, so we're going to pivot to give some updates on the federal and the state level, beginning with the state level with Emily. So thanks, take it away. I am going to drop a couple of links in the chat. So last policy committee meeting, we talked about hoping that the state would undertake work to establish a new either post-secondary attainment goal or some sort of statewide goal. And shortly thereafter, the governor signed an executive order in mid-March that creates a state attainment working group. And so that state attainment working group is comprised of our state's education and workforce agencies, but there's also other agencies and entities involved, like the Office of the First Lady is involved, et cetera. But the co-chairs of that working group are our kind of core higher ed and workforce agencies. So we've got our Community College Board, Board of Higher Ed, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and then the Department of Employment Security. And they are working together over the next year to review existing state plans. So for example, our state's A Thriving Illinois, which is our higher ed strategic plan that's in place, our state's workforce plans under WIOA, et cetera, examining what our state plans already have included in them, what the data say about attainment in the state of Illinois, both in terms of current attainment rates as well as projected attainment rates, projected workforce needs in terms of credentials. They're going to do some work around credentials of value, helping do some definitional work. And they're also going to do some stakeholder engagement. And all of that is with the goal of submitting to the governor at the beginning of December a recommended statewide post-secondary attainment goal for the year 2040. And the point of that is to focus on degrees and credentials of value that really align with what we'll need in Illinois. And so, you know, thinking about the broad range of post-secondary degrees and credentials that may include, and ideally promoting economic mobility for Illinoisans. So the work is underway. The working group the state attainment working group has already started convening. The agencies have already started working together on that. And they are in the process of establishing some stakeholder engagement opportunities. And so I think there's going to be some surveys that probably come out. There will probably be some regional meetings that are open to folks to attend. We will plan to share those opportunities as they become available. with this group, because we know that folks in this group have a strong interest in these types of issues. And we are excited to share that as it moves forward. We're excited that it's happening. We also, along the Success Network, put out a memo in response to the executive order being signed. And the purpose of that, just to say, hey, here's some stuff we've learned in running the Success Network over the years, which originally started, for those of you who don't know, as the Illinois 60 by 25 network, because there were communities around the state doing a lot of really great work to drive post-secondary attainment in their regions. And we wanted to uplift that and draw connections. And so that's sort of that memo captures some of the lessons there, as well as some of the things we talked about in our last policy committee meeting. So I just want to highlight that. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, and I'll briefly touch on the General Assembly. And I know we've got a variety of advocacy groups on the line here. So if there are particular bills you want to draw folks' attention to, the session has been a bit of a whirlwind. There's been a really big focus on revenue and a lot of crazy dialogue around that. And there's a lot that's still sort of unsettled. We are in the kind of final throes of this session here. And then we'll have veto down the line. But in this session, there's still a lot of stuff that's been delayed. It's being revised, a lot of amendments being filed, et cetera. There's still been a ton of dialogue around the Community College Baccalaureate bill, adequate and equitable funding. We've got folks from PCC and Advance, I think, on the line here who are doing a lot of work on that bill. And there's been, as we mentioned last time, a lot of bills around high school graduation requirements. Madeline's going to talk about some general work there that we've been doing. But in particular, and I'll drop the link to this in the chat, Senator Preston and I believe Leader Lightford are working together on a bill around the foreign language graduation requirement. I don't think this will move this session, but it is something that we are paying attention to. And like I said, Madeline will talk more about that in a minute. The final state update I will just give in order to hand over to Madeline for some other updates here. ICCB published their draft administrative rules in alignment with the amendment to the Dual Credit Quality Act that was signed into law last year. I will drop the draft rules in the chat. The rules are largely just in alignment with the legislation. Ed Systems, we submitted a public comment to it. The public comment was due last week, so we're sure some other folks on the line here submitted public comments. ICCB will be voting on those rules in June, and so we will definitely keep this group up to date once those pieces of work have been finalized. But other exciting news is that ICCB, in collaboration with the Dual Credit Committee that was created, is working on model partnership agreement updates that will be provided out to the field by fall of this year, a final version of that. And so what's exciting about that is that resource, the model partnership agreement, really will contain a lot of different templates, guidance, et cetera, for going through the partnership development process, establishing those partnership agreements to scale strategic and high quality dual credit, and really fostering that collaboration across secondary and post-secondary. So more to come on that front, but just wanted to share that update.
And Emily, I apologize for this, and Madeline, I apologize for both, but I have to say something because I didn't recognize someone that I shouldn't have recognized in my presentation. Megan Mitchell has really been she's the reason I was here. She invited me. But even more so than that, her partnership this year, she cold called me. I didn't know who she was. And I'm like, who is this person? I call her Dean. And she's like, oh, she's good people. But several of the initiatives that we were able to be involved in at Rich this year, with the accelerated EDU visit and the design visit, really helped us as a district be able to really focus in and hone in our pathways with our Prairie State College dean, and which really helped us kind of cement a partnership and develop further. And so I don't want to go without this meeting without really thanking her and recognizing her for that, because a number of the strategic moves we've been able to make this year would not have happened without the opportunities for learning and growing that myself, as well as my dual credit partner, Dean Giles, participated in and got to know each other more, and were able to really move things much quicker than we normally would have. And so I just want to comment on that, because in particular, having the right partner can really help grow your pathways in the right spaces and places. And even with that and assisting in finding other dual credit opportunities for our students, she was instrumental in helping us do that too as well, by just being linked together. So I know I'm taking away from your Illinois Assembly Act and your Dual Credit Quality Act, but I want to say I need to say that because without her, a number of things that we've been able to accomplish this year would not have happened. So I'm sorry, but I don't apologize. She deserves recognition, and I want to make sure I didn't forget that. So thank you for taking this interruption.
We love a Megan celebration. All good. Thank you, Dr. Morgan, for sharing that. And yes, Megan is an incredible support. So I appreciate you appreciating her, as we do as well. Wonderful. So more on kind of state level before we get into a little federal update. We do have a new transitional instruction website. So in partnership with the Illinois Community College Board, we've published a new and improved transitional instruction website. So if you remember from years past, the site was based primarily on the PWR Act, the kind of mandate behind transitional math. And so the website was very transitional math focused and kind of had a little tab for transitional English, but not quite the user experience that we would want for folks to feel supported and have all the resources at their fingertips to really grow and scale these programs. And so you can check out that website. We have tons of resources from curriculum development, portability support at the state level, lots of PD videos, unit plans, scope templates, things like that. Really just a wealth of resources on this website, as well as for transitional English specifically, we have recently added some newsletter archives. So the Transitional English Advisory Group meets monthly, and their hard work and collaboration has created even more resources and kind of things for you to consider in a more kind of timely manner. Things like AI, things like supports for English language learners. They're really kind of tackling those more timely topical issues within that newsletter. And so if you click around in the Transitional English tab, you can see all of the resources there, and you can even sign up for that newsletter as well. So wanted to highlight that as a new resource for folks to use. All right, and now to a brief federal update. So I know we've mentioned Workforce Pell before in this policy committee, but it has been kind of fast and furious in getting from program announcement last fall to coming up quickly in July, nationwide implementation and rollout of the first kind of crop of Workforce Pell approved programs. So there is a great explainer linked here at the top. And again, we'll share out all of these slides and resources after today's call. But this Workforce Pell, what you need to know explainer kind of gives some really specific cases like, hey, look at this program at this specific community college. Okay, how would it pass the value added earnings test? How would it pass, the data specifications that are needed for submission for approval to be a state Workforce Pell eligible program. So it really takes you on a very granular level of what is happening in states across the country as different workforce boards, education boards across the country are taking kind of a fine-tooth comb into their existing workforce programs and seeing what may be eligible for students to benefit from Pell eligibility applied to those programs. And then the second link here that I wanted to share is specifically around rural implementation of Workforce Pell, and really the unique advantages and opportunities that rural communities have in implementing Workforce Pell. As we know, rural communities and community colleges can really act as the backbone of the local workforce, supplying kind of really labor integrated programming that is close knit with the community, as it's maybe a smaller knit community than larger urban or suburban areas. And so that can come with the opportunity to be very hands-on and very collaborative in how we design these programs, but it also can come, of course, with some challenges around resource constraints. So that's a great read to, again, get a closer look at what this eligibility for Pell will mean with Workforce Pell coming down in July. And then just more kind of brass tacks, the federal rules are expected, the final rules expected by the end of May. I believe they just have one more discussion period from the 22nd to the 27th. And then we should expect to see final rules. They opened up for public comment, lots of great public comment submitted by different organizations, national and kind of statewide as well. And as states are kind of designing implementation in their own unique local context, we've seen some emerging models. So we've seen some states, maybe like Tennessee, Georgia, that are taking pretty identically what is in the federal statute and applying it to their statewide design, not really designing any additional criteria or restrictions on what Workforce Pell programs that are eligible will look like and what those definitions are. But then we've also seen some more, not to say restrictive, but maybe just more like quality assurance focused approaches from states like California and New York that are designing, and Illinois as well, that are designing definitions and processes for these approvals that take more of a kind of consumer protection approach to ensure that students are well positioned in accomplishing these different or completing these different workforce credential programs, that they are, stackable to further education, further employment, that they are not, taken advantage of within predatory programs, that they are well advised into kind of how their Pell eligibility is impacted by Workforce Pell. So watch this space for kind of continued dissection of the different models that are approaching across different states. And it'll be interesting to see in this new school year how those different models play out in real life student experience. There's also a great model data framework that has been created by Strata Education. So their data framework has taken into account all of the different kind of longitudinal pieces that are important for Workforce Pell, whether it's job placement, earnings in their first job post credential or post workforce program completion, and really gives an overview of how to ensure that those data systems are equitable and that they are following students from completion of the program through their employment journeys. So that's a great resource as well. And then, as I mentioned, this is an ongoing discussion in Illinois. So different Illinois agencies, Illinois Community College Board, Illinois Board of Higher Education, Illinois Department of Employment Security, all different organizations working together to design what this looks like in Illinois in terms of definitions of those in-demand credentials, definitions of their attainment in their job placement post-program, and ensure that we are protecting students and ensuring that they have equitable access to these workforce programs. All right, so on a related note to some of the policy updates on the state level that Emily gave, we have been underway with our graduation requirements work for Illinois at Ed Systems. So we're kind of taking a broad approach to understanding what are kind of the core challenges in the current kind of scheme of graduation requirements for students across the state. So as Emily pointed out, there are every kind of legislative session new attempts to kind of pinpoint what challenges folks are reporting in the field, but they can feel kind of one-off or kind of piecemeal solutions to an overall universe of policies that may have different challenges in implementation. And so this project is really designed to get under the hood of what are the kind of qualitative experiences folks are having across the state, where can we validate some of those challenges and equity concerns in the quantitative data, and then how can we kind of uplift some of these priorities for legislators to think about these requirements as a whole rather than kind of one-off dealing with specific requirements one-on-one. So this project is composed of not only kind of some desk research and policy and understanding what folks are doing across the state for graduation requirements. It also is composed of an advisory group with stakeholders across the state in different geographies, different positions, different institutional backgrounds and perspectives. It'll include some qualitative data collection, which I'll share an opportunity for engagement in just a moment there. And then it'll culminate in December with a white paper that we will publish to summarize all the findings that we've had in both the quantitative and qualitative research and uplift some priorities for legislators and policymakers across the state to consider the graduation requirements as a whole. So as I mentioned, that's kind of the impetus behind this work, was just hearing from folks all around the state that the graduation requirements as a whole have had some challenges in implementation. We know that some pending requirements, specifically the foreign language requirement coming up in 2028, 2029, is adding some additional challenge in how folks are thinking about implementing requirements. And so our goal is to kind of move beyond the piecemeal solutions and instead present kind of a full picture of what graduation requirements look like across the state. So there is an opportunity for folks here to get involved. We would love to hear from you and folks in your networks, in your schools, in your local communities. What is kind of breeding excitement, innovation, opportunity within the graduation requirements, but then what else is creating some challenge? So we have an interest form here for kind of the adults in the school world. So we're focusing on students later in the fall or later in the summer, early fall. But for now, we're kind of getting our arms around adult perspectives on the challenge. So administrators, educators, counselors, anyone, in an EFE role, intermediary, area career center, would love to hear from you. So this interest form kind of just shares that, hey, I'd love to kind of share my thoughts on this. And then you'll be shared either if you indicate you'd like to participate in a focus group, you'll get some dates for focus groups coming up over the next few weeks to months, as well as a survey. So if you choose, hey, I'd rather kind of share my thoughts in a written survey, you can indicate that as well. And then we do have 2 upcoming counselor-specific focus groups. So we've gotten quite a bit of interest from counselors within our advisory group to share kind of what they've seen on the ground and helping students navigate all of these requirements. And so really would encourage if you want to share these opportunities with counselors in your network, those 2 registration links are live for this Wednesday and then next Thursday for our first 2 kind of kickoff focus groups for graduation requirements. Okay, and then I will pass to Laura. I believe, yes, Laura's on the line to chat through a project that our Pathways team is undergoing in aligning our programs of study projects or programs of study guides across Illinois. So thank you so much, Laura.
Yes. Hi, everybody. So if we could go to the next slide, it's kind of like a few just overarching notes about this. I'm sure you'll probably hear more from me and an update on this project later on. Because this is a multi-year project that we are working on. So you can see here, we are doing this project in partnership with ICCB and ISB. Many of you may be familiar with the model program of study guides that were created with ICCB that are there on the left-hand side. One of the things that we noticed in all of our conversations with both ICCB and ISB and, all of you practitioners out in the field, is that multiple different resources is confusing. And we, out there right now had presently 2 frameworks, the program of study guides that were created by ICCB and Ed Systems, and then ISB also had sort of their own model programs of study. We are currently in the process of working together, like I said, over multiple years to merge those 2 so we can make things a little more aligned, a little more straightforward for those of you who are utilizing these resources. If we go to our next slide, I'll give you a look at sort of what that process looks like for us very quickly. So we started this year with the first 3 of those guides, as you saw on the last slide. And those of you who are familiar, there are 12 model program of study guides right now. So we're kind of multi-year process going piece by piece through a few at a time. Essentially, we're working with advisory groups. We did a kickoff in January. And then we're going through a similar process that was done when the guides were initially created, of starting sort of with labor market information, back mapping. We're also factoring in updates to the career clusters framework, because I know for high schools and ISB, that is sort of a really important topic of the moment. And then we're sort of talking with our advisory groups, getting feedback from them. The first 3 that we have been working on, education, IT, and health sciences, will be coming out for public comment in August. So just keep an eye out for an invitation to that webinar, the public comment period, if you'd like to offer feedback. As we move into the next school year, we're going to move on to a new set of 3. Right now, we're thinking that that is going to be business, manufacturing, and then possibly sort of the behavioral health aspect of health sciences, because the current health science one is mostly focused on physical health. So my other ask for you before I pass it along was, if any of those sound like areas where you would be interested in being involved in our advisory groups, or folks who would. We're really looking in these advisory groups for the people who have the subject matter expertise. So just keep an eye out for that at the start of the next school year when we move on to the next 3, as well as the public comment, because we would love to have anyone who's interested involved in sort of the next steps of this process. And that is all for me. So I will hand it back to you, Madeline. Thanks for having me on here.
Thank you, Laura, for that update. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, so our last topic for today is another local innovation spotlight, and talking about regional pathways collaboration with Dr. Eric Lasky, who's the principal at Ridgewood High School, and Michael Kuhn, who's the director of the Des Plaines Valley Region Education for Employment Region. We're really excited to have them share about how they've really been building relationships within their region to scale up really robust programs. So with that, I'll hand it to Dr. Lasky and Michael, and we'll let you guys take it away.
Thank you. So Ridgewood High School, for those that know, we're about 900 students. Just you fly over our football field right before you land at O'Hare Airport, so we're right next to O'Hare. Question normally comes up like, okay, well, how do we offer our students the things that we feel are important? So we always say we have to go beyond the walls. Yes, you have your building, and I know, every building has its limitations. So we always say, like, at Ridgewood, what can we do to make sure we provide all our students? We have 26 different career pathways that they can actually earn their endorsement in, but how do we make sure to offer them those beyond just the walls of Ridgewood by partnering with other people? And that's where, like, Michael Kuhn comes in with DVR, and then we'll also talk a lot about our other partner, which is Triton Community College. So things we're going to talk about today is, first of all, like I said, how do we partner with our community college to really get the most for our students? Talk a little bit about our dual credits that we have aligned, our Triton cohorts, and our work-based learning Fridays. And then we have a couple cohorts that we don't partner with Triton with that we'd like to share about. And then how do we do team-based challenges both locally and regionally? And then something that's sort of new here at Ridgewood is our sophomore cohort. So those are sort of things we'll touch upon as we go through. So as we look at the limitations of a high school, and I know all high schools, yes, we're a smaller, I used to say we're a smaller one compared to the schools around us, and then the schools down south say, oh, you guys are actually a pretty large high school with 900. But all high schools really have these limitations, the space and resources. We're not going to have a certified teacher to teach every course we feel is valuable for our students. And then you have that, how many kids have to be in a course in order to run it? So if you have 3 kids interested in one thing, 3 kids interested in another, how do you provide them with the courses that they're interested in? And then once again, what about that expertise in the subject matter? Yes, we can have a teacher that teaches something, but they really have the expertise to get to the level that they want. And then you sort of look at, okay, what are the limitations of a community college? A lot of times, students don't really know what our community colleges have to offer. They're waiting for students to enroll, and they're really dependent on that. There's transportation. because obviously the distance to there is a little bit more farther from high schools. There's a cost for the students and for the families many times. And then there's also financial aid they got to apply for through the process. They have the students meeting the placement requirements, so they can't just go there and start taking college classes. Some of them have to do the placement test. And then we have the time, and then is the time and money worth it? So what is return on investment? So if you look at those limitations, the two, it sort of says, well, I think there's that natural partnership for the high school and for the community college. So for us, partnering with our community college really allowed us to expand our opportunities across, all the things. We are the leading high school in the state as far as percent of students getting dual credit. And what we did is we worked with them not only to offer dual credit in our building, but then how do we get our students over there? And with Michael's help, we were able to structure some cohorts. We were also able to structure full degree programs. So we do have these students on the bottom right. They will be graduating high school at the same time that they graduate with their associate's degree. And then we were able to figure out those 26 different career pathway endorsement options. We were able to create a path through courses they can take not only at the high school, but with Triton Community College as well. And then really it provides a reason for these students to come to the school, and they sort of see the relevance, of where it's going to get them by working with the community college. For the community college, what gives them is it gives them a lot of that early enrollment, and adds to their class sizes. So that way their classes will run. It does give them extra revenue. Our students that take courses at the community college, we do pay the tuition. If they take them here, we do not. And then they're really better servicing the community by offering this partnership. Another thing is it's a high percent of completers. Probably 90% of our students that go there and take the associate's degree are going to complete that. So it really helps them in that area with their numbers. So a lot of times schools we talk to say, oh, our community college doesn't allow us to get the dual credit like Triton does. And we always figure it's good to talk about, well, what is the process if you really want to get more teachers qualified, more students getting dual credit? So here's sort of what the process we go through as we work with Triton to determine what would be dual credit. Is first you need to look at what are the courses we're currently teaching, and these are both CTE courses and regular courses. We work with the departments to identify teachers who could qualify. A lot of times our teachers, if you look at their transcripts, some of the stuff they get in their undergrad actually can count towards graduate school at 18 hours. We then submit our transcripts for review to the community college, and the teachers have to interview with the college department head, and then we make sure we align the college courses. When you do submit those transcripts, if you're looking at teachers in the building, the one thing I always recommend for high schools is submit those, and a lot of times they'll go through and say, oh, well, they need another 3, another 6, 2 or 3 courses to qualify to be a dual credit instructor. And teachers, we have teachers here that, they take those over the summer, and then they get dual credit certified as they move on. So that's sort of the process we go to, and that's how we're able to get such a large number of students earning dual credit. And then we also then have the other partnership where now our students are going over to Triton, and those are with our career academies. So Michael Kuhn, who sort of helps spearhead this, he's going to talk a little bit now about the career academies that we offer with the high school and community college.
Thanks, Eric. So one of the things we did was we looked at this as a regional level. So realizing that Ridgewood is a competency-based school. So in the past, before I came here 5 years ago, Ridgewood was always sending students to Triton for certain programs, and we don't have a career center. So what we did was we talked to Triton about what programs can we offer at the college that all of our schools can attend. And what we found is that these schools aren't able to earn their college and career pathway endorsements because a lot of them didn't have dual credit with Triton or somewhere else. So when we started doing this, we took criminal justice first, and we said, okay, criminal justice, what can we do? So courses were offered Monday through Thursday. And we said, well, what's the missing components of the college and career pathway endorsement? The team-based challenges, the interaction with the employers, and then really the work-based learning. So we piloted it probably 3 years ago with criminal justice, and we partnered actually with local police departments. And what we found was the police departments actually wanted to get more engaged with our students and really get it set up where those students look at as an entry point into this career. Because what we found is that students in high school aren't really looking at criminal justice in a positive light. And by partnering with the police departments actually said, we now found a little bit about the students that we didn't realize. And the students actually said, we have a better appreciation for the police departments. So this started expanding. And then now we've gotten to the point where, as you can see by the slide here, we have more than just one program. So we've actually gotten to the point where now, just in this past year, we have about 60 students in these cohorts that are actually earning their college and career pathway endorsement. Can you go to the next slide? So this is where we break down the work-based learning Fridays. Again, Monday through Thursday, they take I'll call it their core classes at Train. So whether it's criminal justice, welding, they take them. On work-based learning Fridays, our students we partner with a number of different organizations, from junior achievement to learn about financial literacy, because what we found is the old consumer education classes that are taught in high school really doesn't prepare students for getting that first paycheck. What we found when we started looking at some of the data just actually last week, we found that probably about 50% of our students, this is their first job or first experience with an employer. So we wanted to make sure this work-based learning Fridays was really put into employability schools. We also found that these partners really liked interaction with our students, and in the case of healthcare, the CNA, we found a partnership in Central Baptist where now they're actually looking at our students and saying, hey, we want to hire your students after they get their CNA endorsement. And currently we have 13 students from first semester that are actually working there. So the other thing was we got a workforce development grant. And because of that, we were able to pay stipends for these students. So there's again where what we found is some of our students couldn't partake in work-based learning because really they had to have a job to support their families. So by doing this, we were able to help supplement that loss of income that they had by doing that on Fridays. You can go to the next slide. Eric, do you want me to talk about this, or you want to touch on this with manufacturing?
Why don't you start with pharmacy tech and I'll
Sure. So what we always like to hear, I'm one of 52 education for enrollment offices in the state of Illinois, and we work very closely with a lot of the different education for employment offices. And pharmacy tech came from the Elgin area. Terry Stroh in that area started pharmacy tech, which we piggybacked on and started it last summer. And what was interesting about this is this was a pure online opportunity for students, partnering with Loyola Medical Center, where actually they went to Loyola Medical Center last summer. And then they actually got to work with pharmacists in this. So again, anybody that's looking to do this, this is an online kind of course that we do, but you have to find your industry partner or your like in our case, it was Loyola Medical Center. Manufacturing is a little different because we're starting a program this summer where we're partnering with an organization called Manufacturing Renaissance. So this is something new that we're starting this summer. And I know, Eric, you have a partnership with TMA if you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, there's a quick question too. These are for seniors, correct? So it's actually juniors and seniors.
Juniors and seniors, yeah. So
for all the cohorts and then even the pharmacy tech, we have a couple of.
Correct. We open these up for juniors and seniors, and then certain programs, as you can see, with firefighting and EMT, those were a senior-only program. And most of our students that we found is that, there's barriers, especially going into those two fields where they have to be 18 or almost 18. So that's the Triton College basically put that parameter on us where we could only have 18-year-olds. Eric, you want to talk about TMA?
Yes. And then I was going, we had quite a few students do the CNA this past year. And out of those students, we had 2 students that loved it so much that they are graduating a year early so they can get started in their nursing program. So really powerful program. And these kids now know the direction they're going in. So we do have, if you go to the next slide, we do have a partnership with TMA, Technical Manufacturing Association. And with that partnership, we send students over their first semester, and they get a couple of their NIMS credentials, and then they get interns second semester. So these are 4 of our students that got interns, and you can see the companies. Sloan Valve is obviously one that's known around the country for their work with the pipes. But so these students get their credentials first semester. They then go get interns, paid internships second semester with local manufacturing companies. And the students I have there listed ended up getting full-time offers as we're ending second semester. And then these students will decide, one of the students actually is meeting with their human resource director, not only about getting that offer for full-time, but then talking about, all right, what is your path in our company? Because there's so many different jobs within manufacturing and ways you can continue our education to advance and go further. These students came and talked to our school board, and Nico, he's over at Sloan, he was talking about how when they're making the parts and the machine has some sort of issue, that's when they call him in, and he works with a team that comes and fixes the machineries. And he's talking about how precise they are and how the measurements are. But it's just wonderful to see our kids, once again, having success in that program. And then if you go to the next slide, we talked a little bit about this already, but Michael is nice enough to get them a tutor, and those are the kids on the right who get their pharmacy tech license. They're zoomed in with a tutor from Loyola, and you can sort of see our one student on the left is currently working as a pharmacy tech. So, right. So as you transition then as well as what about team-based challenges? So one of the things I think at Ridgewood that may be different from other schools is we feel that team-based challenges are for every classroom, not just CT classrooms. If you're English, you're a math, you're a social studies, you're a science, we expect them and encourage them to do team-based challenges because there's no reason, once again, it's problem-based learning with adding in career pathways. And just like we say, literacy is not just for English teachers, career pathways are not just for our counselors and CTs. It is a school-wide initiative. Along with our local team-based challenges, we're able to partner with Triton College. We host 3 regional team-based challenges. So many of you have been to our Education Pathway team-based challenge. It has been growing every year. We're now close to about 300 students that participate in that. And that's, once again, we could not host that without our partnership with Triton. Our computer science, it has been going on for 2 years. And we get about 5 or 6 schools that come from different areas. And then our newest one this year is we have a culinary team-based challenge that we did in partnership with East and West Leiden. So the one thing about the culinary thing is we do not have a culinary department or classes at all at Ridgewood High School, being a smaller school. It's something I feel like some of our kids are interested. But if you go to the next slide, what we did do, and we started to kick this off this year, is we have our interdisciplinary cohort. So this is a group of sophomores that share a common English, science, and a math teacher. And they do a bunch of interdisciplinary projects throughout the year. And what we did is when we knew our class roster, at then we knew the kids that were going to be in this cohort. And our teachers then did a survey, and they had them fill out a survey. What are they interested in? In the survey, a lot of it was we're interested in sports, and a lot of them were interested in culinary and the culinary arts. So first semester, the team-based challenge was based around, and once again, there's science, math, and English involved in all of these, but our one was around sports gambling, because sports gambling is actually a big addiction among teenagers. It's really an undetected addiction, just like vaping, because of the easy access to it. So that was their team-based challenge first semester. And then second semester, we did a culinary team-based challenge. And it was actually, you see them cooking, but it's a lot bigger than that. The project was they actually had to, the problem they were trying to solve is coming up with a food truck. And they had to create a logo. What are the things that they're going to sell? What are the prices they're going to sell? And then they had to make samples of the items that they wanted to sell. And that's where you can see those pictures down here. And once again, we don't have culinary, but you can still do these team-based challenges. For us, this is like, okay, if you're interested in this, and this, this team-based challenge helped you see that, well, now you can go to Triton and continue this path as well. So that's the other thing I encourage is, if you're doing team-based challenges at your schools, it's really going to open up pathways for students you never thought would know if they're interested in things. And how can you know if they don't actually get involved? So that's
Aaron, can I pop in here a minute? I will say this, that even though Ridgewood doesn't have a culinary program, these students put together kind of really a business plan for kind of coming up with a food truck. And I was one of the judges, and a lot of our staff was there. And we kind of looked at this as like a Shark Tank aspect of, students came in, gave us a pitch. But what was great about it was they actually served a dish, and then we actually got to see it, taste it. And, we were talking as a team at DVR, and we were like, Ridgewood, why don't you have a culinary program? Because you got students that are talented that could do this. So I think this is just another aspect of a team-based challenge that Ridgewood staff put together that I thought was outstanding. So thanks, Eric.
Okay. So that's just a little bit about the work we're doing here at Ridgewood and in the region, and how partnering with your EFE, Michael Kuhn, just really provides so many opportunities for our students here. And we're lucky to have that Triton relationship and the relationship with our Education for Employment. So if you guys have any questions, I'll try to follow in the chat, or if you want to unmute, how are you guys do that?
Eric and Michael, I know that our students came up for your education team-based challenge, and we really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for hosting that. And we would love invites to your others too as well, because that is also an area that we're working on, and we like to do the same. So like to see the work that you're doing, and I love how you've been creative and incorporating different opportunities for students. I just want to say that kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cynthia, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Cynthia Baker. I'm with the Illinois Behavioral Health Workforce Center. And so my focus is primarily behavioral health, but what's interesting is we're working on career awareness and pathways. So I'd be particularly interested in the criminal justice component, because that is a known pathway into, any of the related social fields. So what do you do on Fridays? Where do they go?
So what was interesting was when it first started, they were just going to police departments, and we now have some students actually going to the Cook County Sheriff's Police Department. We're actually going to expand into more social services next year. We're very fortunate. We have the VA clinic down in Maywood, so that's an avenue that we've been trying to branch into. And actually, the department head, Greg Canteen, is. We met probably right before winter break, and he's like, I'm having probably 50% of students that aren't interested in going into policing. He goes, and he's a former police officer, and he said, how can I expand into more law or behavioral health? So we're trying to figure that out for next year, but I would say we're probably going to be placing more students in different areas, and that's going to lead up to our staff to try to find some more locations for students.
Good. We often find that they end up going into psychology, right, at their associate's level, so the psychology sociology area with that, and they get those those degrees. They may go to policing. They may gravitate, more into social work, or, in other social programs and counseling, and kind of, continue a pathway. So
one interesting data, we just, 2 weeks ago, we had our work-based learning breakfast. So we had the first cohort that went through this, and one of the students actually came back and was our speaker. And now she's been out of school, or out of high school for 2 years. She went to Concordia University. She finished up her degree in criminal justice, and actually she was our keynote, and she's graduating really a year earlier. And Norwich Police Department is looking to hire her as a dispatcher. So it's just, like you said, when you go about that full circle, we always look at things in our world as really, where's that gap? Where's that area where students could go into the workforce? So social services, to me, I'm a recovering school counselor. So to me, it's one of those things where that's an area that I'm not really pushing, but I want them to explore. And that's the nice thing about our partnership with Triton, is that we dive down. Paul Jensen and Eric and I did this presentation at Connections, and Paul's a big part of the success on where we are today as a group, and then trying to figure out what those other things we need to add in here. So
Love that. The dispatchers, the 911 folks, they can start really early in that career area and then grow from it. And I just wanted to further that, the state legislature, is many of the bills that were, introduced this year were around crisis and crisis intervention in Illinois. So as you, continue to build, I mean, it doesn't have to change, right? You just continue to explore and expand what that looks like, even under the criminal justice component. So, well, good work, and thank you for this presentation.
And
Thank you.
I would invite you, we actually run a forensic criminology course, and it's different because it's out of our social studies department, not science. But their first semester is that they learn the forensic science, and then they have to investigate a crime scene that's really, really detailed and set up. And then second semester is then they actually have to run a trial and prosecute the person they think did the crime. So it sort of takes it from a very different perspective and not just the science. So it's really two team-based challenges. I like the culinary events of first and second semester.
Oh, that sounds so incredible. I have
So,
to ask you about communication. When you have so many different programs like that, how do you communicate all the 26 and what do they choose?
Yeah, that's not easy, but we have a lot of, we have our flex times, 3 days a week, and we use those. Hey, if you're interested in this, come get more information. You're right. That's one of the things you have to market, all the different things. And and some students try to get involved in everything. You can't. You got to sort of pick, what you're going to do.
Exactly. Well, thank you.
Ridgewood, Eric's not going to say this, but Ridgewood is one of the only school districts in Illinois that has a K through 12 PACE framework.
That's very cool.
So we are actually going to be adding our curriculum, our career awareness curriculum, to the PACE framework as behavioral health specific, with all the careers: psychiatry, psychology, social work, and recovery. So yeah.
We would love to see those for us also, because I think that's an area that, like you said, it's easy to expand into. So thank you.
I love this dialogue. And Michael, Eric, thank you so much for this really wonderful presentation. I love that we're largely bookending the conversation today with some really amazing work that's happening into different communities who are both prioritizing really robust career and technical education. So we've got just a few more things that we'll just share out quickly at the end of the conversation here. But just please join me again in thanking all of our presenters today who have been just really incredible. I'll hand it back to you, Madeline.
Yes, thank you so much. Really cool, especially to hear the power of those cross-cutting skills of, you may not necessarily have a culinary program at Triton, but the entrepreneurship angle of the food truck brings in so much more for students to kind of grab onto and realize where those skills are transferable between different seemingly distinct pathways. All right, so always love to kind of share some reports and releases that we are noodling on here at Ed Systems to inform kind of how we think about the field and what's emerging across the country. So a couple great resources here that we're sharing, perhaps for some light summer reading for folks. We have the first, Belonging by Design, so designing pathways. Again, a lot of the great practices we heard about today in terms of incorporating student interest and surveying students and ensuring that students kind of see themselves within the programs that they're participating in. That's a great report with some great ideas there from Accelerate Ed. There's also a fantastic outcomes report, so evaluation of how pathways are going for Delaware. So a great report there to see in action how pathways have pivoted, or how pathways have transformed student opportunity and led to real growth in student career advancement later on. And then finally, Pivots Without Pathways. This is from the Project for Workforce at Harvard University, and really just speaks to the current labor market moment that we're in. So with the impact of AI, with the impact of a changing workforce, how does that impact how we're thinking about pathways and ensuring that students not only have the hands-on opportunities in their chosen interest or their chosen pathway, but they also develop the navigation skills to kind of, hey, I liked this, but I'm going to pivot a little bit this way and bring some of those skills over here, but maybe develop a little bit more in this area. So those navigation skills becoming even more critical in this moment of our labor market. Some upcoming events that are coming up quickly. So we have this Wednesday, a great manufacturing pathways showcase. So to hear more on the ground examples of what these pathways look like, that's a great opportunity. It's virtual. There is the College Changes Everything conference coming up in July. So the deadline to submit proposals, if you are interested in presenting there, is approaching. We'll also have a regional meeting for our Success Network Northern Illinois leadership communities on June 15th, as well as the ICSPS Forum for Excellence taking place in September. So a lot of great opportunities to learn from the field coming up as well. We also have an exciting student opportunity that we're sharing from the Community College Research Center. So this flyer has a QR code as well as a link that will drop just to hear from Illinois students to inform their understanding of how dual enrollment experiences impact their college and career going trajectories. There are some great opportunities for students to take a leadership role here, get some growth in how they're sharing their experiences, as well as some financial compensation, of course, to ensure that students don't have to choose between an opportunity like this versus a paid part-time job on the side of school. And then we also, it's early, but always great to mark your calendars for next March. Our Success Network annual conference is going to be hosted at NIU Naperville. So get excited for that. Always a wonderful day to learn from folks in the field and make connections and really have some of that cross institutional learning that we've seen today as well. So again, really huge thank you to our presenters today, Dr. Morgan, Dr. Lasky, Michael. Really learned so much from your spotlights. Thank you, Laura, as well, for sharing about the model programs of study, and everyone who attended. Really wonderful to see you all this morning at such a busy time of year. We do have a closing survey where we just love to hear your experience in today's policy meeting, as well as any ideas, any topics that you'd like for us to cover in our upcoming meeting in September. So we have registration open for that as well. The Q3 Policy Committee meeting will be Monday, September 21st, 9:30 to 11, and we hope to see you there. So thank you everyone for your time this morning, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.